She wouldn't give me her number, so I just kept showing up at her place of business. For 5 months, I drank coffee while she topped off the late shift at East of Java. I didn't sleep from May to September. When she got a job at the health food store, I ate soy protein and inadvertently won a weightlifting contest in Bulgaria. Don't ask. When she got a job at the animal shelter, I wound up with 32 cats and an eviction notice. Unrequited love, the subject of innumerable sitcoms, Disney Channel programs, and, well, the bane of every high school freshman boy. When you mix that with a shy, passive personality and a cute, friendly young lady, you end up with a storyline that, well, ends in a lot of cats. Accumulating Cats by Kelly Meadows. Finally, I spoke up when signing yet another adoption form. You'd think they'd say I was unfit since I already had 45. Have you noticed anything, I ask? You seem to really like cats. Anything else? Yeah, you like coffee and soy protein. What about you? I asked. I was desperate. I don't really like soy protein. And I'm like, no, I mean, I like you. Not that it mattered. I could hardly have anyone over with 54 cats. She was flattered, but I don't date my customers. So I suggested she could give me her number and I'd stop coming by. But no, that would be bad for the cats. Not really. With 63 cats, there's more animosity in my apartment than on a high school cheerleading squad. But not that it mattered. The only way I could keep seeing her was to keep accumulating cats. If I gave up on the cats, she'd say I was unfeeling. If I gave up on the girl, well, I'd save a lot of money on cat litter. Finally, I load up all my cats into my car and wait for her to get off of work. Unfortunately, rather than her, it's a police officer, a rather burly and playfully authoritative fellow who wondered, among other things, what I was doing with 63 cats and how I could see out the back window. I didn't know what to say. What's wrong, boy? Cat got your tongue? I pulled one off my face and said I was waiting for Brenda Riley. He looked at me, kind of shocked. We were both doing the same thing, in our own way. I gave her 15 tickets so I could get to know her, and then she told me she wouldn't date a police officer. There's more. After that, I gave her 30 days. She lost her job at the health food store during the time, but at least I could keep an eye on her. Inadvertently, it's this guy's fault. I had all the cats and no Brenda, and we weren't the only ones smitten. I know a fireman who burned down her house and hoped she'd come running into his arms. Instead, she escaped out the back window. His romance went up in flames. She was late for a job at the coffee store, and they fired her. What an unfortunate girl, I offered. That's why she didn't mind spending the 30 days. They were rebuilding her apartment, and she couldn't afford a motel. Brenda was put on television. Turns out she was a hero because she farmed out just about every cat that came in. So if you want to make sure your cat has a good home, just take her to Brenda Riley. That wasn't good for either of us. I either had to stop my cat colony at about 150 or move up to an SUV. And this was just around the time that everyone was bringing in their spare kittens to Brenda to find them a good home. Why spay when you can just give them away? I stopped adopting, and she began looking really bad on her TV following. I didn't show up for a week. It was hard, but it's not like I didn't have any pets to take care of. Brenda was beside herself, and her performance behind the wheel suffered as well. Brenda Riley, recently hailed as the savior of our town's homeless felines, has been pulled over repeatedly for reckless driving. Do we really want this woman responsible for our city's cats? If she holds human life in such disregard, imagine how she feels about the cats we've entrusted her to protect and distribute. But the next day, Brenda was on the TV with that policeman. Brenda won't be a nuisance to anyone anymore. I'll be taking her wherever she needs to go. This wouldn't have been quite so infuriating, except he was wearing a tux and she was wearing a bridal gown. As you know, when you have 200 cats, soon you go from 200 to 216, 230, 260. I had no choice but to go back to the shelter. I pulled my car back up to the loading dock and opened the back hatch. The cats poured out, and Brenda was still there. She looked like a scene in a horror movie, and she screamed like one too. Ah! Stop that! It's bad for the cats! My tires heaved a sigh of relief as 1 ton of cat flesh poured out the back of my car. Soon, Brenda was back on television, begging people to adopt. Please, take a cat, take a kitten, just get them out of here. You know what will happen if they aren't adopted. You know who's responsible for this? None other than Kenneth Lubero. That's me. Call me Kenny. Call me in the doghouse. Call me my picture was on the front page of the newspaper, and my mother wasn't proud. But people came out in droves. Turns out no one wanted to see Brenda go down in flames. Well, maybe that fireman guy. So I decided I needed to get to plan, to find Brenda. I needed to tell her that I did this. I did this for her. So I went 3 towns over to get catnip. What a ride home that was. After placing it discreetly throughout the pet shelter, I placed a series of phone calls to the police department telling them that there was a brutal robbery taking place on 34th Street. Call the cops! Call the police officers! Call everyone! Brutal robbery taking place on 34th Street. I must have been pretty convincing because we don't even have a 34th Street. So the cats were in hog heaven, the police were in hot pursuit, and where was Brenda? She was in the ladies' room. But it didn't matter. I had to see her. I sat outside, waited for her to finish. What are you doing in here? This is the ladies' room. Brenda, I love you. Long silence. Long, long, long silence. Then, flush. There's a man in here! Long pause. Well, get out! No, you get out! I've been waiting to talk to this woman for a year now, and you will not ruin this for me. Brenda stood there, astonished. Love. If I knew that, I might have gone out with you. But you married the police officer. But you were everywhere. I thought you were stalking me. I mean, coffee maybe, but no one likes that many cats. So she walked out, and there I was, alone, in the ladies' room, when flush. There's a man in here! My court case is next month.